Yo, B Marsh Boxing back at it once again with another boxing video. So December 7th, Barclays Center, Bkny, Matt Korobov, 28 and 2 with one draw, 14 KOs versus 28 and 1 Eubank Jr., Chris Eubank Jr. I think Eubank Jr. Matter of fact, Eubank Jr. is 28 and 2 with 21 KOs. He's going to be making his U.S. debut. Finally, he makes his U.S. debut, you know what I mean? And he's going to be campaigning at the 160-pound weight limit of middleweight for the first time in more than 3 years. So Chris Eubank Jr., he had a fight this year versus James DeGale, I believe, in February. Looks spectacular. Retired the man James DeGale. And it was a spectacular win for him, and definitely, a fight that I didn't think he was going to beat James DeGale. You know what I mean? But maybe James DeGale was definitely done at that point in time of his career, was cashing out. You know what I mean? And that was at 168. So Matt Korobov, his last fight, matter of fact, I was live in effect in the arena for that fight when he fought Emmanuel Alim. This was in Fairfax, Virginia, at James Madison's campus on the what's his name? Jared Herb versus Julian J. Rock Williams undercard. You know what I mean? Now, these two guys fighting is a good fight. I like the fight. Matt Korobov feels that he got robbed in his victory. Matter of fact, that fight was controversial, and let me talk about it one more time. And that fight between Emmanuel Alim versus Matt Korobov. You know what I'm saying? I personally thought Matt Korobov won that fight by maybe a point or two. You know what I'm saying? Maybe by one round, a close fight. You know what I'm saying? But they called the fight a majority. They first initially called the fight a victory for Matt Korobov. Then before the night was over, they changed the decision to a majority draw. In my opinion, that was a hometown decision for the man Emmanuel Alim. Emmanuel Alim is a guy from Virginia, you know what I'm saying? The fight was in his home state of Virginia. I think Emmanuel Alim's from Richmond, California. I said California, excuse me, Richmond, Virginia. And the fight was over there in Fairfax, Virginia, you know what I'm saying? About 2 hours away, maybe a little less. But I thought that was he definitely got a hometown decision, you know what I mean, with that majority draw, especially after retracting the victory from the man Matt Korobov. So Matt Korobov's is coming off the heels of two shady decisions, you know what I mean? The first one was versus Jamal Charlo. Although I thought the man Jamal Charlo won that fight 7 rounds to 5, it could have probably gone either way, you know what I'm saying? But I did think Jamal Charlo won the fight. If you had Korobov winning the fight, I ain't mad at you. But at the end of the day, that's two dodgy decisions for Matt Korobov. Hopefully he can right his wrongs when he comes to fight Chris Eubank Jr., you know what I mean? Chris Eubank Jr., in my opinion, should be more of a high-profile fighter at this stage of his career than he currently is. But maybe that it's because of the fact that he's never achieved a world title in his whole career, you know what I mean? He's walked around with, what's that belt called? The IBO belt. But nobody care about that IBO belt, man. That's not really a criteria of a belt to have to call yourself a world champion or to even unify or become undisputed. And that's what Eubank Jr. was walking around with. So in my opinion, maybe that's why he's coming to USA. Maybe he hasn't gotten to fights with there's two super middleweights over there, champions, world champions in England, in Eubank, Callum Smith, and what's the other guy's name? Billy Joe Saunders. You know what I mean? A guy that Chris Eubank has fought already. Okay, he tried his luck when he fought George Groves, and he lost to George Groves. That was for a world title. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I'd like to see the guy here in the United States, because if he's campaigning at 160, which he says is his true weight class, maybe he'll have an opportunity to win a world title. You know what I mean? At this point right now, I would love to see a fight between him and Jamal Charlo, who's currently the 160-pound WBC world titleist over there on the Showtime side. So this fight, matter of fact, Matt Korobov versus Eubank Jr. is gonna be on the it's gonna be on what you call it, on the undercard of Jamal Charlo versus Dennis Hogan, and that's December 7th in Brooklyn, New York. So looking forward to that fight. I'm happy for Chris Eubank making his U.S. debut. I made a video sometime, maybe in August, about Billy Joe Saunders and Chris Eubank Jr. Like, why don't they fight the top tier American fighters in their divisions? You know what I mean? The guy, Eubank Jr. is coming over here to fight Korobov. Korobov's not exactly an American fighter. He's from Russia, but he's based over here in the United States. But maybe he's just dipping his toe into the water before he gets to fight the real American fighters. You know what I mean? Because that's what I'd like to really see and gauge his skills at. If Jamal Charlo is the champion on the WBC on Showtime, inevitably, hopefully, the winner of Matt Korobov. Matter of fact, they should get first dibs at Jamal Charlo, because I do expect Jamal Charlo to get through Dennis Hogan. You know what I mean? So I did make a video about why don't they face any American fighters, or why don't they come over here to USA to fight American fighters? Well, Chris Eubank Jr. answered the door. He answered the bell, and he's coming over to the United States in December. You know what I mean? He's probably gonna come over here in a chinchilla. It's gonna be cold out there in Bkny in December. You know what I'm saying? So stay warm, and I'm looking forward to him versus Korobov. I think it's a good fight, 50-50 fight in my opinion. You know what I mean? We don't know how Chris Eubank Jr. has looked at middleweight since maybe he was fighting guys like I don't know, what's that guy that got retired with a kind of brain bleed, Nick Blackwell. You know what I mean? It's been a while since he's been down there at 160, so it'll be interesting to see what he has against a guy like Korobov, who arguably beat Jamal Charlo, who, in my opinion, beat what's his name, Emmanuel Alim on that undercard of Jared Hurd versus J. Rock Williams. That's another guy who should be in the mix sooner than later, hopefully, in Jared Hurd. I don't know what he's up to, but he went from having a bomb-ass 2018 to a very lackluster 2019, not to mention that the guy is not even going to be fighting in December against Julian J. Rock Williams on the Saturday before a big divisional football game, NFC East shit. Philadelphia Eagles versus Washington Redskins, classic rivalry. But Jared Hurd will not be taking part of that rivalry because he ain't fighting Julian J. Rock Williams. What the deal, AP? What's happening? Anthony Purvis in the chat says, I'm in the building for sure, you know what I mean? I feel you, dogs. Hey, man, that should be a good one, man. There's going to be a lot of fights, man, come December. Oh, yeah, Tank Davis is fighting in Atlanta. They finally breaking the floodgates over there in the ATL, trying to tap into the, the urban community over there in Atlanta. You know what I mean? It's about damn time. Deontay Wilder has a house in Atlanta, and he been talking about having a fight in the ATL. Looks like Tank Davis is going to break the floodgates, and hopefully Atlanta can become a boxing town. I highly doubt it, because Atlanta, look, I always give the example of Atlanta fans, and especially like Atlanta Hawks. I remember when Michael Jordan had came back to play for the Washington Wizards. You know what I mean? He came to play for the Wizards for 2 years. So now that the Washington Wizards played the Atlanta Hawks in Atlanta, okay? A game where the Wizards were losing. Then the Washington Wizards, they came on a comeback before the end of the game. And Michael Jordan, hit the game-tying three-pointer to force the game into overtime. You check it? Against the Atlanta Hawks. The crowd went berserk over there in Atlanta. They were so happy. Oh my gosh, Jordan. It was like vintage Jordan. They seen Jordan do what he used to do with the Bulls, hitting game winners. Classic Jordan shit. The crowd was excited, jubilated. You would have thought the game was in Washington, D.C. or Chicago or something. All right? The game goes into overtime. Sharif Abdul-Rahim, who was a star player them times on the Atlanta Hawks, he goes ahead to hit the game winner with 0-0 to win the game against the Wizards in overtime. Don't you know the crowd was pissed? The crowd was vexed, dog. They were tight. The crowd was like, what the hell? They thought that they'd seen greatness in Michael Jordan hitting the game tying three to force the game into overtime. But the local guy, the home team guy for the Atlanta Hawks, Sharif Abdul Rahim, hits the game winner, you know what I'm saying, in Atlanta. And the crowd was pissed. They were booing the guy. I couldn't believe that shit. But that's Atlanta for you, you know what I mean? It's fair weather fans. They not really fans who, they might go hard. They used to go hard for the Atlanta Braves. Atlanta used to be a big baseball city in the 90s. Greg Maddux, John Smoltz, and, Gary Sheffield and Fred McGriff. They had a mean team back in the 90s, you know what I mean? So I don't know how receptive they will be at the city of Atlanta for boxing. But hey, man, it's worth a try, man. Tank Davis, they're going to put him in the State Farm Arena where the Atlanta Hawks play. That's a big basketball arena, 20,000 seats probably. You know what I mean? So like I said, man, Deontay Wilder hopefully will be getting fights over there in the ATL. Try to break into that market, you know what I mean? After the fight, hey, man, y'all could go ahead and go to Magic City. Go to all the strip clubs, you know what I mean? I'm sure it's going to be a scene down there. You check it. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this fight. Chris Eubank Jr., USA debut. Hopefully he doesn't wet the bed like the man Anthony Joshua. That was a disaster and a nightmare. And I'm sure it still haunts a lot of those Anthony Joshua fanboys, you know what I mean? I know it does actually, but it is what it is. B Marsh Boxing, big ups to Anthony Purvis. He laughing at that Atlanta Hawks shit, man. That's the city of Atlanta for you. You know what I'm saying? When my Patriots beat the Falcons in the Super Bowl, we came back from down 28-3 in the fourth quarter. All these Atlanta Falcons, all they could say was, man, fuck Trump. Like Donald Trump is the man who won that Super Bowl for him, man. People got the strangest conspiracies, but it is what it is. That shit makes me laugh. Big ups to Anthony Purvis. If you're new to the channel, hit this subscribe button. Please share the video. And I'm going to catch you on the next vid. B Marsh Boxing, I'm gone. Peace.